Hello, everyone. Ovevekuve. This one is an Ovevekuve matter because how do you explain that the National Assembly refused to pay SANS after defending Senate Akpabio in Natasha Akpoti legal battle? I saw a tweet where someone, no, I think, no, it's on Facebook where someone said that it's not every case that you take on. That's just the definition of this. Or I'm sure many of you remember the whole saga between the National Assembly. It wasn't really between the National Assembly and Senator Natasha Akpoti Oduaga. It was between Akpabio and Senator Natasha Akpoti Oduaga. But Akpabio, of course, made it a National Assembly issues. And you know what we have? The Senate is full of very cowardly Nigerians who really seem not to have liver, nor mind, nor anything, and so they're being controlled. With the fact that there are a lot of former governors in that Senate, it still appears to be one of the most cowardly institutions that we have in Nigeria, where people who are there are being controlled anyhow. So when Akpabio says jump, they only ask how high, and they even jump beyond whatever height it is that he mentioned. And so they brought all of this in, and you saw a situation whereby there were accusations. Senator Natasha accused Senator Akpabio of sexual harassment and a whole lot of things. They suspended her, many things and all of that. But let's go into what Sahara is saying. Sahara speaking exclusively to Sahara reporters on Thursday morning. Ojukwu said he and fellow senior advocate Paul Dada San handled the matter from its inception but have not received payment despite successfully representing the Senate through the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal. The National Assembly has refused to pay a consortium of senior advocates of Nigeria led by Chief Chikasolu Ojukwu months after they defended the Senate and Senate President Godswill Akpabio in the high-profile legal battle instituted by Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti Oduaga. The dispute comes despite documentary evidence showing that the office of the President of the Senate formally instructed Ojukwu's law firm to take over the representation of the Senate in the matter and specifically requested that the lawyers submit their professional fees. The legal representation arose from suit number FHC ABJ CS 384/2025 between Senator Natasha Akpoti Oduaga and the Clerk of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the Chairman, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions, Senator Neda Imasue. I just remember that one. That one is another case entirely. I don't even know whether he's coming back to the Senate. I think AP didn't get a ticket under APC, right? But he was one of those Labour Party chairmen that were elected, and then he defected to APC. Speaking exclusively to Sahara reporters on Thursday morning, Ojukwu said he and his fellow senior advocate Paul Dada San handled the matter from its inception but have not received payment despite successfully representing the Senate through the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal. According to him, the unpaid fees relate to the legal services rendered by the consortium of senior advocates. I put my life and industry into this matter since February. Not a dime was paid. The Natasha case started and the Senate briefed us to handle the matter, represented the Senate at the High Court, and also handled the appeal. After the case ended, I submitted my bill to the Senate President. Obviously, it was forwarded to the clerk. The clerk then asked us to provide the letter of instruction, which I did. After that, I received another letter directing me to approach the Senate President or whoever had briefed me for payment. That's essentially what happened. Asked specifically whether it was the Senate, the clerk of the Senate, or the Senate's legal director that engaged him, Ojukwu insisted that the Senate formally retained his services. The Senate engaged me. The clerk has the engagement letter. In fact, he has written me 3 letters. The law permits that if you intend to sue the Senate president, you must first serve a pre-action notice addressed to the clerk. That's exactly what I did in line with the Legislative House Powers and Privileges Act. The law requires that you give them 3 months notice before commencing legal action. When asked how much the Senate owes him, Ojukwu declined to disclose, the amount. I don't want to discuss my legal fees. Then why are you bringing the legal fee issue to the public for us to see? But anyway, I know why they want to disclose that. The simple fact is I have not been paid. True, he has not been paid. The Senate should go ahead and pay this man his job. And then even the man to the next time you are taking job, not the kind of job you are taking out from whom you are taking. Senate President's office formally engaged Ojukwu. Documents obtained by Sahara reporters show that the office of the President of Senate officially instructed Ojukwu to take over the defense of the Senate. In a letter dated March 14, 2025, obtained by Sahara reporters on the letterhead of the office of the President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Chief of Staff to the President of the Senate, Chinedu Francis Akubueze, formally wrote to the principal partner, Ojukwu Chika Solu and Co. The letter instructed the firm to take over the representation of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sued as a second defendant in suit number FHC ABJCS 384-2025 between Senator Natasha Akpotudua as versus Clerk of the National Assembly and others. So apparently this was in response to the suit that Natasha had done, not the ones that they had instituted. I thought maybe that was the one where she was challenging the suspension. But anyway, I really don't know what the full this thing. But the main thing is that Senate has eaten gbese and Senate is refusing to pay its gbese. The letter stated, kindly take this as a formal instruction to take over the representation of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sued as the second defendant in suit number FHC ABJCS 384-2025 between Senator Natasha Akpotudua versus Clerk of the National Assembly and 3 others, which is currently pending before the Federal High Court of Nigeria, Abuja Division. By this instruction, you are authorized to take all necessary lawful steps to effectively protect the interests of the Senate in the above referenced suit. Please be advised that this instruction supersedes any and all prior directives issued by the Senate concerning this case. Kindly signify your acceptance of this instruction in writing, accompanied by the bill of your charges for professional fees, and forward both to the Senate at your earliest convenience. Your prompt attention to this matter and your dedicated professionalism in safeguarding the interests of the Senate are highly appreciated. The correspondence explicitly requested that Ojukwu submit his bill for professional fees to the Senate after accepting the brief. And there's no how that the Senate is going to come and say that this was pro bono or whatever. But anyway, as of this moment, the Senate don't chop gbese. They're supposed to pay gbese. So many of them call Senate people say, Mary and pay their gbese. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.